Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and today on Pastor's Corner, we have Pastor Sandy Wainright, and got already the coalition, Pastor. Talk to our community about what that coalition is about, how long it's been in existence, and what your role is.
Sure. Good. Hello there, Carlos, and thank you for having me today. I am Pastor Cassandra Wainright with the Concerned Clergy Coalition of Kansas City. Um, the coalition was actually founded over 35 plus years now by Dr. Wallace S. Hartsfield Sr., who we know passed on, but we are continuing his vision. And Pastor Hartsfield's vision for the concerned clergy is that it would create better unity within our community. That was a simplistic vision to create better unity within our community. And so he wanted to engage, his whole mission was to engage other pastors and clergy to foster relationships that cross denominational barriers so that they would be able to provide programs and services that focused on meeting the spiritual, physical, and social needs of the Kansas City greater community. So for over 35 years, there have been a group of clergy that have been committed to keeping that vision and that dream alive.
All right. So, what is it that the concerned clergy have going on right now in the immediate future, and talk about some of the things that you would like to see in the organization would like to see for 221?
We actually just on last Thursday had our first general meeting. We've been having board meetings and we kind of took a break during COVID last year just to allow pastors to navigate through, what and how they would need to handle and prepare themselves and their congregations for their services. So we kind of took a break for last year. We kept doing the work, but we weren't coming together to meet. And so we had our first general meeting last Thursday, and our basic plan is to just continue the work that we've been doing, that has continued even prior to me coming on in this leadership role. I was elected the first female president in 2015. So my tenure actually started in 2016. And the mandate that God gave me was that we were to pursue, overtake, and recover all. And it's a scripture passage that is referenced in First Samuel, the 30th chapter. And regarding the uh, king, he wasn't king at the time, but it was regarding David, the warrior. And so when we think about that, it's just knowing that in a time and in a season where, our community is riddled with violence, racism still totally impacts our community, whether it's police excessive use of abuse, health and wellness as it relates to health disparities and health inequities that impact our culture and our community, economic development. There are so many things that impact us as Kansas Cityans. And so that theme and that mandate around pursue, overtake, and recover all is for us to be able to go into those particular areas that impact our community and try to make a difference. Try to partner with who we can partner with to build a greater collective impact for us to do it, because we recognize that the Concerned Clergy Coalition is just one organization. We are a small unit. So we wouldn't be able to do what needs to be done in our community on our own. So we love being able to partner and collaborate with other like-minded organizations that are willing to come alongside each other and say, let's get this work done.
I been watching you per se. I can't say the concerned clergy, but I've been watching you and your husband, and I'm the Lord has, I'm a piece of work, but Calvin, he's always trying to get me together spiritually, right? And just this year, I never had no spiritual advisor or anything like that. But for some reason, the creator told me to call that young Cleaver kid uh, and ask him to be my spiritual advisor. And I was like,
Wow.
what's coming out your mouth, Carlos? I'm serious. Well,
Praise
I'm saying
God for that, though.
you know your arms are too short to box with the creator. And I was like, man, you don't even go to church. And you talking to this guy about, but I feel some of our political officials need to look at the clergy and really re-examine instant reset on some of the things that you just mentioned that our community needs. The things that are hampering us are systemic in nature, built into the system. And
Sure.
if some of our community per se that have means look spiritually instead of economically on some of the things that need to be done in our community, we'd be in a better position.
You're
And
so right, Carlos. And first of all, let me say that I am so glad, I'm grateful that you have connected with Dr. Cleaver the third for that spiritual mentorship. And God just has a way because he created all of us and he knows what each of us needs. He knows how to prick our hearts and our spirit, our minds to say that this is what I know I need because we were created. He ministers to our spirit, man. So I'm grateful for that. And when you talk about our level of connecting with politicians and local state officials, things like that, we do need to be engaged in that arena because when it comes down to dealing with systemic issues that impact us, we've got to know that part of these things are a spirit that has overtaken our community, just like violence. It's a spirit that has overtaken our community. The spirit of division has overtaken our communities, and we've allowed those things to be so. But it is going to take a spiritual transformation or a spiritual uplifting, if you will, for us to really make the changes that are necessary. And I just always say that if there are any real changes that are going to be made in our communities or around the world, it's going to take the faith community, the people of God to arise and be who God has created us to be so that we can do what he has assigned and ordained for us to do.
I guess I want to say, even though you're a pastor, I want to say I'm a P because I'm scared to challenge that word because really, whether you believe this or my audience believe this, a lot of times this is not what I want to do because this is like a cross because I be bringing up a lot of different things that people don't want to hear and cause me enemies and stuff. But it's like I said with Cleaver, it was like, hey, that thought or that didn't just pop in your mind, Nelson.
Yes.
You done got still. You better listen. I called that man up and said, hey, and he was like, I'll be your advisor. And I talk to him every now and then about things, but the spirit, I'm serious, audience. Mr. Nelson a lot of times be saying I'm not a believer or this or that, but my actions are contrary to what's coming out my mouth because when the spirit hits me, I know what I got to do. I don't even have to think. The road is laid out, and all you got to do is follow it. And you got, a lot of times you got to get your courage up. You got to get your armor shined up. You got to, and then you got to be ready to do battle.
Yes. And it's something too, because it doesn't matter whether, people go to church and in this time and culture, there are a lot of people that are unchurched now. but it doesn't mean that they don't have a relationship with God. It doesn't mean that they can't have. And when you know that really God created us all, and he created all of us for purpose. And though we don't think we have time for him, or that we want to be bothered with him, or that we want him exclusively in our lives, because he created us, he knows what we need and when we need it. So I'm just grateful for that.
The key, boy, you keep pricking with these different statements. Purpose. I don't think I found I'm 69. Since I started Cascade, I think in 08, that it showed me this is what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And I would do this crap free because
Yeah.
this is my purpose. God put
Yeah.
me here. I've been here. I was like, man, why you not dead? All the stuff you done and all the people you done been around, why you not dead? But over the last decade, I realized God got a purpose for you.
For sure. And Carlos, you have been fulfilling that as it relates to Cascade. And just think about when you started Cascade, you were doing the sports, you were in that sports arena, and how you have evolved and you deal with issues that impact our community, not just Kansas City,
Right.
but around the world globally. And so when you think about that, and you can never say, that God doesn't have a purpose for you. God he meets us right where we are.
He allowed me to do this.
Yes.
And I come to realize that, let me say this, and some people can relate, but with me, it's been really relating. Homeless for a long, long time, but every time I needed something for this company or myself, the darkest of midnights, someone would come and things would get better. And God works through people.
Yes, he does.
And like I said about your husband, at different times, Calvin has said different things to help me get back where I needed to be mentally.
Yeah.
Because I'd be sometimes ready to give up and just wash my hands of the total mess of humanity, not just here, but.
And we're flawed humanity, we're flawed. All of us are, each and every one of us are. But then God knows who to position you. He already knows who we need in our lives to help bring balance, to help us reason things out, to help encourage us, and even to help push us forward. So you just have to say a huge shout out that God knows more than we know. And in the Bible, it says that he turns the king's heart to whatsoever way that he will. God knows. We don't know, but God knows what we need and when we need it.
Yeah, I was listening to a little girl that's on my Facebook page. She was asking God, she was going crazy she was in her car and she was saying she was tired of chasing the bag needs chasing her. She's going to work, she's just tired of it. And the people that own the company, they got billions of dollars and they give me $44,000 a year. And I got to come in every day and I'm chasing the bag. They over in Europe having a good time with their life. And we're stuck doing this. This is not life. And that frustration I think, is really embedded in our community. And now that I'm having this conversation, I didn't plan to have this conversation. I'm serious. And so I'm going with it because I guess the creator got me going with it. But our political situation, I think, and I always wasn't of this persuasion, I think they really need to sit down and have some conversation. Maybe the clergy would have that conversation with our leadership. I think that would possibly, you pricked my mind with a couple of your statements. I think that might help our situation, because I think we as people are too attached to dollar bill right now, And from my perspective, the Black community, I'm old enough to understand and remember the civil rights movement, not out of a book, out of all of that. And we've gotten away from certain elements that really were essential in our community. And that was, if you're not riding the bus, I'm not riding the bus. If we're not shopping here, but the mentality that has been pervasive in my eyesight uh, is that I've got the money, I'm gonna ride a cab, less more a bus, and there's no consideration for the people that are left behind. And I think the economics, the capitalism, the system, and how we're educated has been a detriment to our community. And when you see leaders say one thing and do another, uh, hasn't been helpful. And when it comes to really America under the Trump era, the naked aggression, the naked uh, praise of materialistic things, and then when you see, it's like the Republican Party per se. I'm not picking on them, but they when I came up, the Republican Party really was supposed to be like God, uh, country, or family,
Yes,
and
yes.
those three. And what I knew about the Republican Party per se, that they were supposed to be really conservative on everything, and especially with the money, the military, I know the Hawks and all of that, but all of that just came apart under their true self has come out, and the true self of what America, everybody knows what America was about, but when what irks me when they start talking about God, and I don't see the spirit unless there's a different type of God that I don't know. The spirit of humanity and working with our brothers and our sisters, because there's only one human race, and really from an imperial scientific data point of view, everybody is African because all mankind walked out of Africa, regardless of what your skin color. And so I really don't, it's hard to understand all of this friction when you know from imperial scientific data that we all brothers and sisters, everybody on this damn planet.
And we bought into all of that. You know, when you go back that far back and you know our ancestry and where we came from, and even the intentional racism has been intentional from day one, and um, how they have always sought to keep us beneath or subservient and all of that. And it has continued, and a lot of it has still dealt with around that almighty dollar, because the advancement of our people, uh, it kind of reminds me of, you know, Officer Chauvin putting his neck on George Floyd. You know, it's always been that somebody has tried to keep their knee on our neck. But when you think about the fact that, you know, God, he spent most of his time with the disenfranchised, the marginalized, the oppressed. That's who he ministered to, you know. And so when we, as we have come up, and I don't like to just lump the Republican Party in that
Right.
all of you are this way, because there are some good Republicans, just like, you know, there are some not
Bad
so good.
Democrats out here.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so it's like there are some that they do hold on to godly principle. And even as we went through the Trump era and all of that unfolded, there were many who did vote for him, but then recognized who this man was, what he did, and had a different mindset, had a different revelation. and knowing that even as it relates to racism, that a lot of the things that we have received by white folks having their knee on our neck were not things that we ever deserved. And they are becoming allies to see what can I do to help bring about the necessary change.
And that's what Cascade Media Group is right now. And I think just over the last year, I think that, because I'm a Black nationalist, but God has put in my heart, I got you this to do the Black people, but I got you this to bring both communities together, Mr.
Exactly,
Nixon. Regardless
exactly,
of what you talking about,
exactly.
I got you in this position to bring cohesion, some understanding. I'm like, Dad, how did I go from Black Power Ungawa to, I'm serious.
And there are many people, even in the Nation of Islam, you know, that they too had that revelation. It's like it has always been the enemy's plan to keep us all separated. And for us to focus so much on the things that make us different, that we don't spend enough time emphasizing the things that we have in
bring us
common.
together.
We're not going to agree on every issue, but we can respectfully and appropriately agree to disagree. And it doesn't mean that I have to go back in my little silo and choose not to work with you because we don't agree. And so that's the intent of the Concerned Clergy Coalition. It's like, if we're going to create better unity, we've got to understand, first of all, what community means. And we've got to understand that one of the root words of community is unity. And so being willing to cross denominational barriers or cultural barriers, ethnicity, whatever that is, whatever that can look like, we've got to be willing to do that, because that's what, at the end of the day, is going to bring glory to God.
All right. Well, you know, I know that ever since everything that I've ever done, I know when I be trying to have different events, I call over there to you. Hey, I need 2 or 3 cakes. Can you do? You're always there. I'm like, you know who you can depend on, and you know who you can't. And I want to thank you personally for the things that you work with Cascade Media and me personally. And then I have to really, with Calvin, I always be saying, I don't know how Calvin do it, because I got grandkids and great grands. I can't even be around them a whole lot because my nerves. But he's working with them kids. I'm saying not 1 year, 2, 30, 40 daggone years. And we need more of that, role models.
True. And I am so grateful, you know, when people speak about my husband, because I know that he's dedicated most of his adult life into, and, you know, and he's done that in the midst of challenges and transitions that he himself has gone through, in the midst of many things that he's personally had to deal with, but he still had enough. God has graced him with enough energy, enough passion, and he has a burden for these young people. And so I'm just grateful. You don't know how blessed I am when I hear people say, this is what Calvin did, or this is how Calvin blessed my life, or how he helped change me. It is a blessing to hear that, and that he gets to hear that while he's still living.
I'm telling you, and he's not gonna be around Nelson without saying I'm from Jersey and telling me to get right with the Lord. I'm like, Calvin, I'm from New York. No, you're from Jersey, and you need to get with the Lord. I'm like, all right. I'm telling you, I love your husband, because
thank you.
Mine, and I understand challenges. He had them boys,
yes,
and what stand is and what they are and all of that.
Yes.
But I same challenges, my sons and what have you. But I think, as you said, the Creator has the plan, and you can be tested. I'm gonna leave this. as it relates to the Creator and this money. All these people that are talking about I'm this and I'm that with the Creator, remember, Jesus said, you bring all this money into my Father's house. I'm not the preacher, don't know, but that was major.
Yeah.
That you're bringing this filth into my Father's house.
Yes.
Money changes, and that's where I see everything right now. That dollar is overriding the word.
Yeah.
Because people are not consciously really understanding. And
true. True. And then, you know, I think too that God did, I don't know that God actually brought COVID, but I know that he allowed COVID to come. And part of that, I believe, was to awaken all of us, including the faith community, those of us who profess a faith in him, to know that we got to rethink some things. We've got to re-examine some things, and we need to go back and get some things that we have left to the wayside. We have forgotten about, and we've allowed the dollar, we've allowed the love of money to consume us to such a degree that we don't care who we hurt in the process. We don't care what we do in the process as long as we can get ahead. And God had to allow COVID to come to awaken us out of our slumber, Carlos, because things that we thought we were doing and it was okay with us because it helped us get ahead was never, ever the plan of God for our lives. So he knows how to get our attention. He does know how to get our attention. I know
how to get mine, because I'm, like I said, I'm like a put. When I know that the Spirit is speaking to me, I'm like, man, why you got to give me this? Because what I always say to some of my colleagues, I'm smart. I think I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. Some of the things I'm involved in, I'm not that smart. And the ideas that come to me on how to do things, it took me a minute to realize those are almost divine revelations that are coming from the Son.
Yes.
You know
yes.
You know this
is
something speaking through you. And I don't believe that Cascade Media would have ever slipped through the cracks without the Creator, because there is no Black media like mine in the nation that does all the things that we do. And I don't think that that's by accident. And as I said, I think that's my burden, and that's my mission. And I should have been gone a long time ago, but there's something that the Creator has for me. I want to end on Alvin Sykes. What do you have to say about Alvin, or did you know Alvin?
I did, and had the opportunity to meet Alvin. And I tell you, even the things that I've read since his passing and how he overcame challenges himself, how he overcame personal adversity himself. And he used injustice, to speak out against those, again, who were oppressed, marginalized, and disenfranchised. And so to know the contributions that Alvin made it is something that we need to both continue to advocate for him on his behalf and in his memory to fulfill and continue his legacy, but to always be grateful for the work and all that he did in our community and abroad and beyond to bring about change. And so we're ever grateful for the life and the legacy of Alvin Sykes.
Hey, Pastor, I'm going to steal Jim Watts' line again. He closes with, "It was a plum pleasing pleasure to have you on the show."
He does.
All right. I steal this line, make him mad all the time. And then I tell him, you better not steal mine.
Wait. Carlos, does Jim say, "Oh, you can't say it like I say it, man. You can't say it."
Yeah, so I close with, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself.
Amen. Amen. God bless you, Carlos, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
The program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.